Welcome to Peculiar Stories, where we study near-death experiences and give unique insights on life and death. We aim to illuminate these important stories, expand your perspective of life, and educate our audience. We welcome you to this adventure, whether you're new or returning. To see our latest stuff, subscribe to our channel if you like us. Remember to like our content to spread it. Simply relax and prepare to be carried to the brink of life and beyond. In today's story, Evelyn sees Jesus as light. She recounts what she told him and experienced. Move on to the story. My name is Evelyn, and here is my story. While driving a beat-up automobile, I lost control. The truck repeatedly slid diagonally down a sloping embankment. I felt like my deceased father was supporting my head while I was shook like a quarter in a box. I dreamed of flying. When I woke up, I could fly well. I've always had flying dreams, but this one was special since I could fly even while I thought about it. Moving ahead was slower, and going down was impossible. When I tried to halt, I felt a gentle pull upward. At that time, I realized I wasn't dreaming. I looked at the fir tree tops, the grass, to the road, and around me. I saw better without glasses. After looking up at the sky and seeing everything in focus, I felt the chilly April air on my skin and the early sun warming it. My eyes fell to the earth. As I viewed my upside-down automobile with my body on top, my head was partially out of the damaged driver's side window. I thought, what's up there, that's down there. After rolling, my astral body faced the sky. It looked like a vortex, a sky gap with clouds and plasma like lightning. The hull had stars, but they were the universe's core, like a galaxy around the brightest light. I think it was the source. Light orbs of various colors and shapes entered and left the hole outside it. As I recognized my naivety, I knelt and stiffened up inside. I've believed in God from birth. Before bed, I asked God how vast the universe was when I was younger. I closed my eyes and tried to get as far as possible before falling asleep. It would slightly warp my young mind to have journeyed far and learned the cosmos was endless. Young me was a math prodigy with exceptional cognitive talents. At 6, I could divide by 10, and I had prophetic dreams before I could talk. I experienced an 8-year-old dream about my family dying. They rejected my dream that they would die in an accident on the trip to Nevada. I wanted my parents to live, so I believed the adults when they said it was a dream. Their plane crash shocked me mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I thought God was cruel to send me such dreams knowing I had no control. To make matters worse, I could no longer see reality clearly, so I begged him to stop. Between that age and my injury, I had many unusual experiences. I went through horrific trials, separations, and traumas no child should have to go through. It distracted me from God and our connection. I started doing drugs, throwing wild parties, and hurting myself and others. I received God's perspective on my life. It was obvious to me every time I was self-centered and made decisions based on my own interests. Every time I manipulated or incited confrontation for personal advantage, I documented it. My sadness multiplied manyfold. It felt like a beam hit my solar plexus, and the agony was so powerful that I felt weak. I don't think I'm a bad guy, therefore I can't image how things would be if I'd hurt people. A review like that would be agonizing. A luminous thing approached me. I was never religiously raised or baptized. I could be wrong, but it seemed like Christ. Not the Christ we see in art or pictures. It wasn't evangelical Christ. It wasn't the Christ of America or another Christ figure I met. It was impossible to imagine how much compassion this individual had in that tiny yet brilliant light. I didn't understand this great love until it touched me, since it was so pure and compassionate. I'll take it, it's for me. He touched me and removed the beam. You are forgiven, he whispered as his light briefly faded and vanished. You have biology, psychology, instinct, desire, mechanism, ego, and more because you are flesh. Being flesh means sin. This is how it is. Nothing wrong with being human. I hadn't relaxed so much. I realized then that he was part of the bigger light and a planet custodian. He had to rule, defend, guide, and love it. Despite my limited understanding, this being was more than what he appeared to be. Yes, I understood. I was pleased and asked like a child. Are there aliens, UFOs, alien life, parallel universes, and more? I heard a loud but quiet chuckle of satisfaction, followed by a pat on the head and a point to my head. It seemed like a gigantic stream when my head was within, and I could see everything and nothing from the start. I remembered the entire universe from the Big Bang to the Big Stop to the huge bang and back. I knew everything about cosmology, biology, spirituality, consciousness, being and non-being, physics and math. God is all that has ever been and never will be, and as a human, I can only understand it intellectually. Even the best humans are human. Thus, everything will be anthropomorphic. A chair looking at a table might think it's a strange chair with no back. The chair will perform its function even if it is clueless. It may never question or transcend its chairness, but it is. When I was 14, I wondered if God could do anything. Can he construct a rock too hefty to move? Yes, nay, all at once and nothing. After this deep discovery, I realized I was out of place, had a body, and that if I didn't return to it, it would stop working because I had accelerated it across time and space. I stated I was sorry for interrupting the great narrative, but I had to go back. I was told to take full responsibility for my conduct. I quickly reassembled and whooshed back to Christ's side, where I sprang back to my body like a salmon swimming upstream. When I re-entered from the top of my head, it closed with a tremendous whomp like an airtight vessel. Like fitting a supercomputer into an Amiga, it wouldn't fit. I let go of some of my understanding to return to my ship quickly. I knew I could rejoin later and that it would be there for me, but I wanted to finish a task first. Returning inside, I climbed. It resembled a gigantic abandoned home. It was cold, quiet, powerless, echoing, and black. From my spinal cord to my extremities, willpower saved me from panicking. I moved. I could descend my right leg, but not my left. I traveled through my organs, heart, rib cage, arms, and brain. I tossed switches like a captain in my medulla oblongata or brain center. Okay, brain, let's start this body moving, I say. I ordered my blood to flow and heart to beat, but claw at my hip. After trying to breathe, my breath whistled loudly. I saw blood when I opened my eyes. A coating of mushy crimson sludge covered them. I blinked and removed it. Something like a bag of stones rattling through my spine and head stopped me from moving. I heard the door buzzing and radio static while the keys were in the ignition. It was threatening. The soldier next to me was crying when I looked. I turned around and he remarked, "I thought you were dead." "Don't worry, I just spoke to God. Everything will be fine," I add. He held my hand while I examined his cowboy-style hat. When I said he was my idol, he said I was too. When I said I was exhausted, he said, "No, you must stay awake, so talk to me, give me the words of God." I claimed full responsibility for the incident and asked about my pals. He told me they'd be okay. He then recounted the event. Buzzing, radio, and sky made me dizzy and almost pass out. I heard the ambulance get there. It seemed like it would kill me, so I posed as they prepared to use the jaws of life. Going outdoors alone, my body twisted and groaned, and my left leg followed. I was in the back of the car with an IV, oxygen, and a trooper. He told me I could sleep with his hand. X-rays, heart monitors, lights, needles, masks, noises, blood, beeping, Latin, math, and law are radiology equipment. I spent 36 hours in the intensive care unit with dizziness and agony. I had a morphine epidural, and thought spiders were everywhere. Certainly, a priest and nuns waited for my mother. I received last rites 3 times from the priest as they kept praying. I spent much of my time above my head, watching what seemed like a circus. The last rituals began, but I would re-enter my body and tell them to stop as I was still alive. My body disagreed with my spirit, which knew everything was okay. I know my body thought it would die several times, but my spirit lived on. Christ, made of light, appeared immediately. He looked beautiful like a Jew, with a lovely face, big brown eyes, a strong jawline, and long black, curling hair. His plain cloth robe was filled with the most magnificent light. He grinned knowingly, although frightened. Got underway. "You do that great. How did you do that easily?" you hear. "What's above? You were there. Why are you here? Your ability to hear is impressive. Thanks for appearing suddenly. You're fantastic. So what? Now practice living the truth. Is that it? That's easy. I'll do it. I followed his instruction. I was truthful and accountable. I'm capable. He seemed delighted with me. You may find it the hardest task ever. It won't always be easy. He faced the cross. I suddenly grasped it. When he touched my hand, I felt warm all over. I stayed in my body. They sent me to Minneapolis for my pioneering procedure with Dr. Templeman, which would revolutionize bone repair. Funny, huh? Templeman. After 5 weeks in the hospital, I spent 6 months in a nursing home recovering. Stand will hold my heart, walk will stir my spirit, and dance will claim my soul. Took notes in my journal. Walking at 9 months, standing at 6 months, and dancing pain-free are my milestones. Evelyn's experience illustrates that self-centered, wicked people don't go to a good afterlife, but it never explains where they go. Next, view this near-death experience to understand.